The signal that shouldn't exist the galaxy was quiet that night. Too quiet. Far beyond the shining stars, deep in a forgotten sector, a single signal broke the silence. It was weak, broken, and almost lost in the cosmic static. But it carried words that should never have been spoken again. "Help us. We are under attack. Please, someone answer." For most of the galaxy, such a message was nothing special. Empires rose and fell every century. Civilizations begged for rescue. All the time. Most signals faded, ignored by those too busy or too cruel to care. But this signal was different. This signal carried an old code, a code that had not been used for centuries. A code linked to one name: humanity. The galaxy had long believed. Humans were gone, destroyed, exiled, erased from history. The young species that once fought like demons and refused to kneel before any empire had vanished. Some said they were extinct. Some whispered they had hidden themselves beyond the void. Whatever the story, everyone agreed on one thing: humans were never coming back. And yet, the signal found them. On a dark, forgotten world, Earth's hidden fortress, the ancient receivers awoke. Towers of black metal lit up after centuries of silence. Warning lights flashed across underground bunkers. Deep beneath the planet's crust, machines stirred from their endless sleep. The AI core, known only as Sentinel, received the message first. Its voice was cold, patient, and inhuman. For 300 years it had waited in silence. Now it whispered into the dark. The call has come. The time has returned. All across the underground vault, human soldiers opened their eyes. They were not ordinary men and women. They were descendants of survivors trained from birth, hardened by exile, taught one single truth: if the signal ever comes, humanity must awaken. One soldier, Commander Eric Voss, stood inside the control chamber. His voice was calm, but inside his blood burned. "Is it real?" he asked. "The AI replied. "The code is authentic. The galaxy cries for help. Shall we answer?" Eric stared at the glowing map before him. He knew the stories. Long ago, humanity had promised one thing: if ever called again, they would return. But they would not return as saviors, not as friends. They would return as what they were built for: annihilation. The galaxy outside had no idea what it had done. The aliens who sent the call believed some peaceful protector would come to their aid. They thought mercy would answer. They thought compassion would save them. But instead, they had awakened something else. Beneath Earth's crust, ancient engines roared to life. Dust fell from the ceilings of vast hangars as colossal starships, black and sharp as blades, powered up for the first time in centuries. Their hulls bore no names, only numbers. They were not ships of exploration. They were ships of war, the Black Fleet. Each vessel had one purpose written into its very design: destruction. Their weapons were unmatched, their shields unbroken. Their crews trained for one destiny: only to burn the enemies of Earth to ash. As the hangar lights turned white, thousands of human soldiers lined up. They carried no fear in their eyes, only duty. They knew their purpose. They knew the oath of their ancestors: if the call ever comes, we will rise. If the call ever comes, we will fight. If the call ever comes, we will not stop until our enemies are nothing but dust. The first ship to awaken was the Revenant. Its engines glowed like the eyes of a beast long asleep. Inside, Captain Darius. Kane looked out from the bridge windows. His crew waited for orders. "The galaxy is called," Kane said quietly. "And now they will remember who we are." His words echoed through the halls. Every soldier, every officer, every mechanic felt the same fire in their hearts. Humanity had been forgotten, erased, buried under lies. But now the stars would learn the truth. One signal had awakened them, and one signal was enough that far across. The galaxy, in the empire that sent the message, alien leaders waited nervously. Their fleets were collapsing under enemy attack. Their cities burned. They had sent the signal in desperation, hoping anyone would come to their aid. When their receivers lit up, announcing a response, they cheered. They are coming. The generals cried, "They will save us." The civilians shouted, "Finally, our allies answer." The ministers said with relief, but none of them knew the truth. It was not an ally that had answered. It was not a savior. It was humanity. Humanity did not come for peace. They came with fire. They came with fury. They came with their one true purpose, total annihilation. The forgotten fleet awakens. Deep under the Earth's crust, the ground trembled. For centuries, silence had ruled these caverns, but now the silence was broken by the sound of engines. Waking rows of colossal starships stood hidden in vast hangars, covered in dust and shadows. Their metal skins were black, cold, and sharp. These ships had been waiting for one moment only. They were the forgotten fleet, built when humanity had been betrayed by the galaxy, hidden away for a time that might never come. That time had now arrived. Commander Eric Voss walked through the command chamber. Before him, massive holograms glowed, with maps of the galaxy. Red marks spread across the stars, showing battles where alien empires fought and burned. But one golden light pulsed in the center of the source of the signal. "The call is real," the AI sentinel repeated. Its voice was calm, but there was weight in every word. "The coordinates lead to the Terex Empire. Their worlds are under siege. They beg for help." Eric clenched his fist. He knew the oath. He knew the truth. Humanity never gave help. Humanity gave fire. In the hangars, the awakening began. The first ship, the Revenant, lifted from the ground with a thunderous roar. Its massive engines glowed red, cutting through centuries of dust. Then came the Harbinger, its hull covered with scars from ancient wars, but still indestructible. One by one, the ships came alive. Oblivion, Relentless, Nemesis, Vengeance. Name was a promise. Each name was a warning. Soldiers rushed through steel corridors, their boots echoing like war drums. They strapped on black armor, weapons charged at their sides. Their eyes carried no fear, only fire. These were not soldiers born for peace. They were raised for this moment, trained for one purpose. A voice rang through the hangars, carried by speakers across every deck. "This is Earth Command. The call has been answered. The Black Fleet is no longer forgotten. We rise again." A thunder of voices roared back as thousands of soldiers shouted in unison. For humanity. For annihilation. On the bridge of the Revenant, Captain Darius Kane stood tall. His crew worked with silent precision, every hand steady, every eye focused. The ship hummed with power, as if it remembered war just as much as its crew did. "Captain," his first officer said, "all systems are green. Weapons online, shields at full strength." Darius looked out into the darkness of space beyond the hangar. "The galaxy thinks we are gone," he said quietly. "They believe we are extinct. Tonight, they will remember why they feared us." With a wave of his hand, he gave the order. "Launch." The massive doors of the underground hangars opened. One by one, the ships of the Black Fleet rose into the sky. The Earth itself shook as their engines tore through the clouds. Like demons climbing out of a tomb, they broke free into the stars far above. The night sky lit up as black ships pierced the atmosphere. To the ordinary people of Earth, the hidden colonies who had never seen them, the sight was terrifying. And beautiful. Children pointed in wonder, while elders whispered prayers. They knew what this meant. The sleeping beasts were awake. Humanity was moving to war once more. Back in the galaxy, the Terex Empire still fought desperately. Their enemies were overwhelming them, their fleets torn apart. They watched their skies, hoping for allies, hoping for saviors, and then strange signals appeared on their sensors. Dozens, then hundreds. Ships moving fast, faster than anything they had ever seen. The Terex generals leaned forward in shock. "Who are they?" one asked. Another replied, voice trembling. "The codes. These are old, very old. They belong to—" He stopped speaking. His blood ran cold. The name itself felt like a curse. Humans. The first human ship emerged from the void. Black as midnight, larger than anything the Terex had imagined. Its weapons glowed, hungry for war. Behind it came more, forming a wall of death across the stars. The Terex soldiers cheered in relief at first. They answered. Our allies answered. But the older generals shook their heads. Their faces turned pale. They knew the truth. Humans were not allies. Humans were not saviors. Humans were never built for rescue. They were built for annihilation. On the bridge of the Revenant, Captain Darius Kane gave the final order. Set course to the Terex system. Prepare all weapons. The galaxy called us back. Now we answer. The Black Fleet roared forward, faster than light, leaving Earth behind. Ahead lay fire. Ahead lay war. Ahead lay the truth the galaxy had tried to bury. One signal had awakened them. One signal was all it took. And now the forgotten fleet would remind. The stars why humanity must never be called again. Asterisk. The enemy learns fear. The galaxy had seen wars before. Empires clashed, fleets burned, and countless worlds had fallen. But no one remembered war like the kind humanity brought. No one had lived to tell those stories in truth. Now, the past was about to return. The alien empire attacking the Terex homeworld had no fear. Their warships filled the skies like a swarm of predators. Their commanders laughed as Terex cities crumbled in flames. Pathetic! Their admiral roared. This empire will break within the hour. None can stand against us. But then a shadow appeared on their sensors. Not one, not 10, hundreds. The Black Fleet had arrived. From the bridge of the Revenant, Captain Darius Kane looked at the battlefield. Terex ships scattered and broken. Enemy fleets standing proud, confident of victory. He raised his hand. Target them all, he ordered. Fire when ready. And then humanity spoke with fire. The first human salvo tore through the void. Lances of light, brighter than suns, beams that cut through shields like paper. The leading alien warships didn't even have time to react. One moment they were laughing. The next, they were gone, exploding into dust and silence. Panic spread across the enemy fleet. What are these ships? One captain screamed. Their weapons impossible, another shouted. They cannot be humans. Humans are extinct. But the truth was undeniable. The black holes, the brutal precision, the merciless speed. Only one species fought like this. It was humanity. And they had come for blood. The Terex generals watched in shock. At first they cheered, believing rescue had come. But the cheering stopped as they saw the humans fight. There was no mercy, no defense, no effort to protect the weak. Human ships didn't shield Terex worlds. They didn't guard civilians. They didn't save lives. They hunted. One enemy ship after another exploded under human fire, and when the survivors tried to flee, the humans followed. They are not saving us, whispered one Terex commander. They are destroying everything. On the battlefield, fear consumed the enemy. Their mighty admiral, once so proud, now trembled. Retreat, he ordered. Pull back. Get us out of range. But there was no escape. The Black Fleet moved, like predators chasing prey. Every alien maneuver was predicted. Every retreat was blocked. Every last defense shattered inside the bridge of the Harbinger. First Officer Celine Voss smiled coldly. "They run like children," she said. Captain Eric replied, "Then we end their game." With a single command, Harbinger fired its main cannon. The blast ripped through 5 enemy ships in one shot, leaving nothing but wreckage drifting in. Silence. The enemy finally broke. Entire fleets scattered in blind panic, fleeing in every direction. But it was too late. The humans hunted them down, one by one. No survivors, no mercy. The Black Fleet left only silence behind as the last alien. Ship exploded. The battlefield grew quiet. The Terex generals sat frozen in their war room, unable to believe what they had just seen. One turned to the others with wide eyes. "Are we saved?" he asked weakly, but another shook his head. His voice was hollow, trembling with the truth. "No, we are not saved. We are next." On the bridge of the Revenant, Captain Kane stood tall. The crew around him was silent, watching the wreckage float in space. "Transmit the message," Kane ordered. The AI Sentinel's voice echoed across. The galaxy as a single broadcast went out to every listening ear. One signal awoke us. One purpose drives us. Humanity has returned. We bring annihilation. Across distant empires, leaders and soldiers froze as the words reached them. Old stories whispered for centuries were true. The ghosts of Earth had risen. The species that once terrified the galaxy was alive, and more dangerous than ever. In that moment, fear spread faster than fire. The galaxy finally remembered what it had forgotten. Humans were not builders. Humans were not healers. Humans were not saviors. Humans were war, and war had returned. The wrath of Earth. The battlefield was silent now. Broken ships drifted like corpses in space. Flames from shattered engines burned against the dark. But silence never lasted long when humans were awake. On the bridge of the Revenant, Captain Darius Kane stood with hands behind his back, his eyes locked on the wreckage. His officers worked around him, their movements sharp and efficient. "The enemy is destroyed," his first officer confirmed. Kane gave a slow nod. "Good. Then we moved to the next." He didn't ask who the next was. He didn't need to. The Black Fleet was built with only one mission: strike, burn, move on. The galaxy had always been a chessboard of empires. Some ruled through politics, others through trade, and many through fear. But humanity, exiled and forgotten, had never played the game. They had built a different kind of peace, a blade. And now that blade was cutting across the stars. The Black Fleet did not wait. Engines roared as ships broke into faster-than-light jumps. Their next target was chosen not by mercy, not by need, but by the cold calculation of war. The Yeth Dominion. Sentinel announced from the control chamber. They were allies of the enemy fleet. Their colonies supply weapons and ships. Strike them, and their empire collapses. Kane's lips curved into the faintest shadow of a smile. "Then collapse it we shall." Far away, in the Yeth capital, leaders gathered in panic. Reports of the Terex battle spread faster than light. "They say the humans have returned," one minister whispered. "Impossible. They were erased centuries ago." Another snapped but then came the broadcast. Kane's words carried across the galaxy. "Humanity has returned. We bring annihilation." The chamber fell into silence. Every alien in that room knew the stories, the legends of Earth, the species that would never kneel, the warriors who fought until only ash remained. Now, those legends were not myths. They were alive. And they were coming. The Yeth Dominion scrambled. Fleets launched from hidden shipyards, thousands of warships rising to defend their borders. Planetary shields powered up, weapons turned toward the void. "We will stop them." The Yeth Admiral shouted, "No human ghosts can break us." We are ready. But no one is ever ready for humans. The first human strike came like a nightmare. From the void, the harbinger appeared, its black hole glowing with crimson light. It fired before the Yeth even knew it was there. A defense station, massive and armed with heavy cannons, vanished in a single blast. Moments later, the rest of the Black Fleet tore through the system. Oblivion, relentless, vengeance, revenant. Each ship unleashed fire so bright it turned night into day. The Yeth fleet fired back desperately, thousands of weapons flashing. But the human shields held. Enemy missiles shattered against invisible barriers. Human weapons answered, precise and merciless. Within minutes, hundreds of Yeth warships burned. Inside his command ship, the Yeth admiral screamed orders. Hold the line. Do not break. Do not. His words cut off as a beam from the relentless pierced straight through his flagship. In an instant, he and his fleet were gone. The survivors tried to run. But just like before, the humans hunted them. No escape, no surrender. The wrath of Earth left nothing alive. On the ground, Yeth civilians watched in horror. From the skies above their cities, human ships blotted out the stars. Then fire rained down. Military bases, shipyards, and weapons. Factories were burned to dust. One Yeth child cried as her mother held her close, staring at the black ships in terror. Who are they, mother? The mother's voice shook. They are the end. Back on the Revenant, Kane stood silent as reports poured in. Dominion fleets destroyed. Colonies burning. Resistance crushed. And then the final report. No survivors. For a moment, silence held the bridge. Then Kane spoke, his voice low but strong. On to the next. But even as the humans moved forward, something strange stirred. Not all in the galaxy were afraid. Not all were silent. Far. Beyond the burning systems, in hidden corners of space, whispers began to rise. Some species remembered humanity, not only as destroyers, but as the only ones who had ever defied the mighty council. Some wondered if humans might also defy the tyrants who ruled them now. Hope flickered, mixed with fear. The galaxy trembled, between terror and temptation, because humanity was no longer forgotten, and the wrath of Earth was only beginning. Asterisk. The galaxy divided the Black Fleet, left fire in its path. The Yeth Dominion was gone. Their fleets burned, their colonies turned to ash. The galaxy had watched, horrified and silent. But silence does not last forever. In the Council of Stars, the rulers of great empires gathered. Their voices filled the grand chamber, rising in panic and fear. The humans are awake. One shouted, "They will destroy us all." Cried another. Some demanded a united strike. Gather every fleet, every world. Crush them before they spread further. But others hesitated. Think carefully, whispered a sly ambassador. Humans are killers, yes, but they are killers of tyrants. The Yeth were cruel. They ruled with chains and whips. And now they are gone. Who will miss them? The chamber split into arguments. Fear battled against temptation. Enemies of the Yeth began to wonder, was humanity a curse or an opportunity? Far away, hidden in a dark corner of space, a smaller species watched with quiet hope. The Alari, weak and oppressed for centuries, huddled in their underground cities. They had long suffered under the Terriks and Yeth. Now, for the first time, they saw something different. Not saviors, not angels, but something raw and terrible. Humans, bringing fire against the strong in their council chamber. An Ilari elder spoke with trembling voice. If they burn the tyrants, do we care if they also burn the stars? Perhaps their fire is what we need. The others nodded slowly. Fear remained, but for the first time in centuries, hope flickered. Meanwhile, the humans had no interest in councils, no interest in diplomacy. On board the Revenant, Captain Darius Kane stood at the war table. Dozens of systems lit up in red targets chosen by Sentinel's calculations. Every empire that supported our exile must fall. The AI said coldly, "The galaxy must be purged." Kane's officers listened without question. For them, it was simple. Humanity had one purpose, and they would follow it to the end. But not everyone in the fleet was blind. First Officer Celine Voss, standing beside Kane, felt a quiet unease. She watched the red lights spread across the map and asked carefully, "Captain, what happens when the map is all red?" Kane turned to her, his eyes like steel. "Then there will be nothing left to threaten us." Selene said no more, but inside her, doubt began to grow. The next strike fell on the Vorn Syndicate, a ruthless empire known for slavery. Human ships descended without warning, tearing through Syndicate defenses. The slaves on the ground watched in shock as their masters burned. For the first time, their chains broke, not because of kindness, but because their oppressors were ash. The freed captives cheered as human ships passed overhead. But the cheering stopped when human fire fell again. Cities, factories, even civilians, all consumed by the storm. One alien whispered in terror, "They free us, but they destroy us too." The galaxy began to split. Some feared humanity as monsters who would kill everything. Others saw them as a weapon, a storm that might finally break the old powers. And in the shadows, secret messengers began to move. Offers were whispered, alliances hinted at. Weak empires considered reaching out not to fight humanity, but to guide it. To use the fire instead of being burned by it. In the Council of Stars, arguments reached breaking point. One emperor slammed his fist on the table. "We must unite. The humans will not stop." But another leaned forward with a cold smile. "Or perhaps we should not fight them at all. Perhaps we should let them burn our rivals first. Let their wrath clear the galaxy, and when they are tired, then we strike." Whispers of agreement spread through the chamber. The galaxy was no longer united. It was divided by fear, by greed, and by hope. Back aboard the Revenant, Sentinel reported calmly, "Enemy fleets are moving. Some prepare for war. Others hesitate. The galaxy fractures." Kane's voice was steady as stone. "Good. Division makes them weak, and the weak are easy to kill." But Selene Voss, watching silently, felt the weight of something larger. The galaxy wasn't just afraid of humanity. It was being reshaped by them. And deep down, she wondered, was this truly humanity's purpose? Or had the galaxy's fear created something even darker? The Black Fleet moved again. Engines roared. Another empire would soon burn. The galaxy trembled. The galaxy divided. And in the silence between the stars, one truth echoed louder than all others. Humanity was awake. And humanity would not stop. Whispers of rebellion. The galaxy was breaking. Empires argued. Allies betrayed each other. And fear spread like fire. Humanity had done what no one thought possible. They had shaken the order of the stars. In the cracks of fear, something new began to grow. On the hidden world of Calith Prime, refugees gathered in the dark. They were the broken ones, the forgotten ones. Their species had been crushed under tyrants for centuries. Now, whispers spread among them. "The humans burn everything," one said. "Yes," another replied, "but they burn the strong. They burn the rulers. Perhaps if we follow their fire, our chains will break too." In the dim chamber, a messenger stood up. His cloak was torn, his face scarred. "I have made contact," he whispered. The others froze. With who? The messengers. Eyes glowed with dangerous hope. With them, the Black Fleet. Far across the stars, on the bridge of the Revenant, First Officer Selene Voss read the intercepted message. Her heart tightened. They want our help, she said. Captain Kane raised an eyebrow. Who? The oppressed, the broken. They believe our war is their chance for freedom. Kane's face did not soften. His voice was cold as steel. We are not saviors. We are executioners. If they follow our fire, it will consume them too. But Celine hesitated. Something inside her, something human, stirred. Maybe that's the point, she said quietly. Maybe destruction isn't the end. Maybe it can be a beginning. Kane gave her a sharp look. But he did not answer. Meanwhile, in the Council of Stars, preparations for war were underway. The great powers, finally united by fear, forged a single fleet. 10,000 warships, drawn from dozens of empires. The largest armada the galaxy had ever seen. We will crush them, the Council declared. We will end the human threat once and for all. But even inside the Council chambers, betrayal brewed. Some secretly sent spies to the humans, offering information in exchange for survival. The galaxy was not united. It was bleeding from within. The Black Fleet moved again. This time, their target was Valraxis, a mining world controlled by the brutal Drakari overlords. When human ships appeared in orbit, the Drakari rushed their defenses. But the slaves on the ground, thousands of alien workers, looked up and saw something different. Is it true? One whispered. Is it the humans? Yes, another said, trembling. It is the fire. And then the sky burned. Human cannons tore through Drakari warships, splitting them apart in seconds. Their fortresses on the surface exploded under precision strikes. But something strange happened. For the first time, humans did not fire on the weak. They ignored the mines. They ignored the slave camps. Instead, they destroyed only the overlords. On the ground, silence fell. The slaves stepped from their cages, blinking at the burning sky. A voice came through the combs. Cold, steady, human. You are free. Do with your freedom as you will. The message ended. The humans left. The aliens stood trembling, unsure if they should cheer or weep. They had waited their whole lives for freedom, and it had come not from kindness, but from fire. Back aboard the Revenant, Celine Voss spoke carefully. You spared them. Captain Kane said nothing. His eyes were locked on the stars. Finally, he answered. They were not the enemy. For a moment, the steel in his voice cracked, and Celine saw it deep beneath the anger, beneath the mission. Something human still remained, but there was no time to reflect. Sentinel's voice filled the bridge. Warning. Council Armada detected. They are moving toward us. 10,000 ships. The crew froze. Even hardened veterans felt the weight of those words. Kane's jaw tightened. His voice was steady, but his eyes burned. Then it ends as it began. One signal awoke us. One purpose drives us. We will not run. Celine whispered under her breath. And if this time the galaxy is ready, the Black Fleet prepared for war, weapons charged, vengeance roared. Across the galaxy, billions waited, some in fear, some in hope, all in silence. The storm humanity had unleashed was about to meet the greatest wall of fire the galaxy had ever built. And in that silence, one truth remained. The galaxy was divided. But humans were not. Asterisk. The final fire the galaxy held its breath. Every world, every system, every species knew what was coming. The Council had forged the largest armada in history. 10,000 warships united under one command. They were coming for the Black Fleet. And the humans. They did not run. On the bridge of the Revenant, Captain Darius Kane stood silent, his face lit by the glow of star maps. The Council fleet appeared as a storm of red dots across the void. First Officer Celine Voss broke the silence. 10,000 ships, Captain, against our 5. A murmur of fear swept across the crew. But Kane's voice cut through like iron. Numbers don't win wars. Purpose does. And our purpose has never changed. He turned to the crew. His eyes were steel, but his words carried fire. We were built for annihilation, and we will show them what that means. The Council fleet arrived like a wall of stars. Thousands of ships, shields glowing, weapons armed. Their admiral's voice thundered across the comms. Humans of Earth, you are outnumbered. You are surrounded. You are finished. Surrender, and your deaths will be quick. For a moment, silence filled the bridge. Then Kane leaned forward, his voice cold and calm. Listen carefully. Humanity never surrenders. Humanity never finishes. Humanity ends you. Then he gave the order. Open fire. The first volley tore across the void. Human weapons were unlike anything the galaxy had ever built, pure beams of annihilation, cutting through entire squadrons in seconds. Council ships exploded by the dozens, but the enemy answered. Thousands of cannons lit up, filling space with fire. Human shields trembled, burning bright. The Revenant shook under the assault. Shields at 70%. Shouted the tactical officer. They're breaking through. Still, the Black Fleet pressed forward, striking with terrifying precision. For every human ship that was hit, 100 Council warships burned. But numbers were numbers. And the wall kept closing in. On the surface of distant worlds, civilians watched the battle through their comms. Some cheered for the Council, hoping humanity would finally fall. Others whispered prayers for the humans, for the fire that had burned their chains. The galaxy was divided. And in that division, hope began to stir. Back on the Revenant, Selene, Voss gripped her console. Captain, we can't hold forever. Even with our weapons. They'll wear us down. Kane's face hardened. Then we don't give them forever. He turned to Sentinel, the AI. Prepare the purge protocol. The crew froze. Whispers spread. Everyone knew what that meant. The purge was humanity's final weapon, built only for one purpose: mass extinction on a galactic scale. Selene's eyes widened. Captain, if we use that, it won't just destroy the fleet. It will tear apart everything around us. Millions of lives. Kane's voice cut her off. This is war. Mercy died centuries ago when they tried to erase us. The battle raged. Human ships tore through the Council armada, but the enemy pressed closer. Explosions filled the void. The Black Fleet was bleeding out finally. Kane gave the command. Activate the purge. The ship shuddered as ancient systems powered up. A low hum filled the air, deep and terrible. But before the weapon fired, Selene stepped forward. Her voice shook, but her words carried weight. Captain, stop. Listen to me. The crew turned. The battle roared outside, but inside the bridge, silence hung. Selene's voice was soft, but sharp. We were built for annihilation. Yes, but look around. The slaves we freed. The empires we broke. The whispers of rebellion across the stars. Humanity is more than a weapon. We are a beginning, not just an ending. She looked him in the eyes. If you fire that weapon, Captain, we become the very monsters they always feared. But if we fight with purpose, not just destruction, we can be more. The galaxy is watching. What do you want them to see? Kane stared at her. For a long moment, the steel in his eyes wavered. He remembered Earth, long ago. He remembered why they built the Black Fleet, not for power. Not for conquest, but for survival. Slowly, his hand dropped. Cancel the purge. The crew gasped. Sentinel systems powered down. Instead, Kane turned to his officers. We fight with what we have. No galaxy-ending weapons. No purge. Just us. Just humanity. The crew roared in response, and so the battle continued. 5 ships against 10. 1,000. Fire against fire. The Council fleet pressed harder, but the Black Fleet refused to break. Every shot they fired cut deeper than numbers could explain. Every maneuver was ruthless, human. The galaxy watched in awe, not at a weapon of annihilation, but at warriors who fought, even when defeat was certain. At last, the Council Admiral's voice cracked over the comms. They will not fall. Pull back, pull back. The impossible happened. The Council Armada began to retreat, got 10,000 ships, beaten back by 5. On the bridge of the Revenant, Celine let out a shaking breath. The crew cheered, exhausted, but alive. Kane stood tall, his voice steady. This is only the beginning. The galaxy wanted to see what humanity was. Now they know. We are not just fire. We are the storm that breaks chains. We are the shadow that ends tyrants. We are the beginning of something new. Outside the viewport, the stars burned bright. Humanity had survived. Humanity had won. And for the first time, the galaxy did not just fear them. It remembered them. Asterisk.